Donald Trump has used his pardon power to protect the officials who helped him try to overturn the 2020 election results. But as you know, he can only protect them from federal charges, not those charged with state crimes. Today, we learned about two big moves on two of the state-level cases targeting 2020 interference. A new prosecutor has taken over the Georgia case against Trump and his allies after Fulton County DA Fani Willis was removed last December. Judge Scott McAfee is eager to restart conversations in the matter, already setting a December 1st meeting to discuss the status of the case. And in Nevada, the state's Supreme Court just unanimously ruled to revive the criminal case against 6 prominent Trump allies who falsely claimed to be Nevada's legitimate presidential electors. Ankush Khadori and Michelle Goldberg are back with us.
Ankush, this all sounds very nefarious, but let's start with, let's go down to Georgia. The prosecutor takes helm of Georgia case against Trump, but will he move forward? This is from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I'll read. Several prosecutors were contacted, and while all were respectful and professional, each declined the appointment, said Pete Skandalakis, the executive director of the Nonpartisan Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia. He declined to share their reasoning, but said the public has a legitimate interest in the outcome of this case. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution notes that the prosecutor, Skandalakis, is a Republican prosecutor who is widely respected by folks on both sides of the aisle. What does this say to you, that folks were scared potentially of this case for various reasons? I mean, I think about DA Fani Willis. Fani Willis, the only reason she's off this case, I believe, in my own personal opinion, is because she's the reason Donald Trump has a mugshot. There was a target on Fani Willis's back, and they lifted up the hood, and they found something, they glommed onto it, and now she's off the case.
Oh, yeah, I think it's very clear that they were taking very direct aim at Fani Willis politically. I think that there are a couple of reasons things could have played out this way. In terms of this gentleman now having to take the helm because the other people he reached out to can take the case. One of the reasons is the one you identified, is it could be a legitimate concern about, well, is this going to mess up my career? Is it going to make me the wrong political enemies? That sort of thing. You know, it's a very controversial case in Georgia. The other reason is less nefarious, but I do think it's should be on the table, which is, if you were a prosecutor who didn't develop this case, would you want to inherit it after what you saw from Fani Willis and her team, right? You would be concerned that there's more under the hood that you don't know about, and that you'd be inheriting a case where you find yourself having to deal with all of these problems. So that's another, I think, potentially legitimate reason people may have backed off.
So, you know, Ankush, I look at what's happening with what we're talking about, but also pulling back, widening the aperture here in terms of justice. Like the justice system the judiciary seems to be pushing back. You've got the judges who are smacking back at the administration on a whole host of issues. And now that we're looking at what's happening in Georgia and Nevada, the judiciary is looking to hold people accountable. I'm just wondering, how fast will the wheels of justice turn in these individual cases? And by the time they do render a judgment, will anyone even care? Will it even remain to be important?
So
I will always care.
I think that
leading question, Counselor.
This could proceed slowly in both states. Now, I'm not. I've never practiced in Georgia or Nevada, but as a general matter, state-level prosecutions move at a slower pace than federal prosecutions because state and local prosecutors are more resource-constrained. And so they don't have the ability to just stand up major complex cases and move them very expeditiously. So this could take a while. Now, the case in Georgia, of course, had already progressed quite a bit. So some early issues were resolved, but it really did not get far, so as far as I remember, really that far down the litigation pipeline. Scott McAfee, the judge who just set the status hearing, has always sort of wanted to move it along, but in a very orderly way. So I wouldn't expect these things to go to a jury or a verdict anytime on the near term.
Michelle, as was the case with the pardons, it's not just about 2020. It's about 2026. It's about
absolutely. I mean, to me, what's so important here is it's just a reminder that the Supreme Court might have given Donald Trump impunity, but it couldn't give it to everybody around him. And so people who are making these decisions as the president tries to interfere with the vote in the midterms or in 2028 should understand that, you know, there are still consequences for his enablers, if not for him.